Everyone, the rest of Aquarimax here. I'm going to give it another try. I just got disconnected from the last live stream, so I just made a new one. We'll see how this works. Sorry about that. I already had several people that had joined into the chat and it just died on me. So I apologize for that and hope we're back. Hopefully we're back in business. Excited about some projects that are going on. One is that I just built a new, put together a new vivarium for our corn snake with my son. It's his snake and we worked on that. Got that going. So that a new video will be coming out on that soon. What else is going on lately? I've noticed a lot of reproduction with the new isopods. I got some powder oranges and some dairy cows, which are the Porcelia laevis, and there are a lot of manke, the offspring, in the enclosures of those two. The magic potion, not so much, but they're not nearly as quick breeders as those two. Those are among the dairy cows, and the powder oranges among the fastest. Okay, so I see Primetime Gecko, you're back in. Nice, thank you for joining. Sorry about the dead time there. Brooklyn Jungle's back again, thank you. Thank you all for coming back in, even though we were having problems. It looks like we're okay now, I hope so. So, yeah, I wanted to open it up basically today for Q&A. Animal Frantic's back in, nice, hi. Welcome. Open it up to some Q&A for now, and we'll see what happens. But that shows me that maybe when I try to start early, it doesn't always work. I ended up having to abort and try again. But now we've got 8 people in the house already. That's awesome. So, been putting together some cultures. HC Aqua, hello. Let me show you what I'm doing here. I've got someone coming by to buy some critters in just a few minutes, so okay. I'm okay with salt-related questions, and I have done some salt water. If I can help you, I will. But I only have like 5 years of experience doing salt water, and it's been a while, so I don't feel as qualified to do that as I would with some other things. But I'm certainly, open to you asking. And if something I can't help you with, I can tell you that. Karen Sue Nader, hello, welcome. All right, so you can chime in with your question anytime. I've got us on live chat, so all messages should be visible. I'm going to take a second to show you all, let's see, what I've got going here. If I can get that going with the camera, there we are. Been putting together some cultures. Here's a starter culture of some Spanish orange isopods. Also doing some, oh, let me close this, they're getting out. There we go. Let's see. So, Crystal's Pets, what's up? Oh, nice to see you there. And sorry, got you aimed at the other direction. Let's see. So, Brooklyn Jungles, what are you keeping in that mix? I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. I don't remember, honestly. If what depends on what you're keeping too. As far as the salinity mix goes. But, oh, Amano shrimplets. Huh. Are you getting buried Amanos? I think with those you might be okay with that. But, I haven't done Amano shrimplets, so I can't really say. I wish I could. Okay, let's see. Primetime Gecko. So, I'm sorry that's not a very specific answer. I wish it were. But since I've never done Amano shrimplets, I don't really feel qualified. But I know that, I know how their life cycle is, but I don't know if that's going to be ideal for them or not. I wish I did. Slippery Fish Aquatic says, hello, welcome. And Primetime Gecko says, what happens to the one orange isopod you had in one of your cultures? Actually, I found 2 in there. I'm going to see if I can pull that culture out just a second. See what we can find. I'm glad I'm wearing the big microphone here. I'm going to set this up so you guys can see it. In just a second. And yeah, does anybody have something for Brooklyn Jungles about that have done that before? Worked with Amano shrimplets. And Scotland, hello. He says, I have already a pair that buried every couple of months. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't find a lot of info. Yeah, I don't know that there's a lot out there. But I wish I had some better info for you. Okay, here we go. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit here on the isopods. And we're going to go searching for one of the oranges. There are two in here. Let's see. I can't really see the camera well, so hopefully this works. There are some of the individuals showing up here. Hopefully you can see that all right. These are the Titans or the Porcelia hoffmannsegii. I'm just going to see if we can spot one of the orange ones, since there were two in there. I'm not seeing any yet. Let me lift up this other cork bark and see what we can find. Nobody really hanging out there right now. So there's a lot of leaf litter down here too, and things like this where you see hanging out on the pieces of charcoal. I'm not seeing any oranges there. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess bad luck right now, not finding any of those guys, but the orange ones. But a lot of times when I'll dig around in here, I'll find them. So that was worth a look. But at least we have my lovely Porcelia hoffmannsegii. They're kind of fun. So I'll put those away. Sorry that none of the oranges showed up. Quite a few juveniles in there, but no oranges. Okay, I'm going to put those back. You can see my springtail cultures. That's exciting. But here we go. Let's switch back. Okay. And back to the chat. I'll see what I'm going to catch up. So, HC Aqua says, I've seen people do it before, so I know it's possible. Let me fix my lighting. That looks pretty bad. Can't see me very well. Okay. Annette Scotland says, hello Russ, Jack here. How's the velvet ground wasps doing? They're doing great. I've had them for, let's see, about 6 months, a little over 6 months maybe. And they're active all the time. They're running around. Today I gave them some of my do-it-yourself beetle jelly that was a little bit too sticky, and they kind of got a little bit stuck. Well, not stuck, but they got a little bit of the beetle jelly stuck to their feet and stuff like that, and so I had to spray them and get a little bit of that off. That was kind of unusual. I've never had the beetle jelly do that before. But other than that, they're doing great. I am really excited to look into some other velvet ant species. They're really fun. And I've found them to be so active in the daytime. When I first got them, they were really kind of afraid and would run when I got near the enclosure. But over time, they learned to deal with that, and now they're fearless. I even had one of them, when I was cleaning out the enclosure and moving some things around, crawl up on me, and I thought, oh, well, I'm glad it's not trying to sting me, and it never did try to sting me, because they have pretty painful stings. But yeah, it was fine. Crawled right back off, and I didn't have any problems. Crystal's Pet says, I love your isopod habitats collection, Russ. Well, thank you. They are a lot of fun. Brooklyn Jungle says, I guess I should start vids of it, see what happens. Yes, yeah, I hope you do. I hope you document it in video, and we can see what happens if you're able to get this Amano shrimp to go through their life cycle. That would be super cool. And I do have springtails with my isopods. I have, with the Porcelia hoffmannsegii you just saw, I do, and I have them with other species as well. Most of my isopods have springtails with them. Yep. Animal Frantics, thank you. And yeah, no problem, Primetime Gecko. It's always worth a try. And let's see. Zbetterman says, do you know Jamal Mwasi? I don't think I do. Hey, Pocosaurus is in the house. Oh, velvet ants sting. I have some velvet ants. Let's see. And do I have a favorite Pokemon? I don't know. I kind of like Trico because it looks like a crested gecko. I think that one's a funny one. And Magikarp because it's based on koi. I like that one too. And Tenyalita, you did make it. I'm glad you did. Thanks for joining in. And Veranid Guy, hey, hey, hey. We got 20 people in the house. That's pretty good. We're only about 10 minutes in, even less than that. And got quite a few people in here. Nice. So, yeah. Any requests, anyone? Anything you would like me to cover besides what's already been asked? I've got, let's see. Yeah, favorite Pokemon, favorite animals kind of works. Just a second here. I'm going to get out Christy because he's taking a nap over here and he might as well come say hi. Here is Jake. Say hello, Jake. Hopefully we can get you focused. I don't know, can everybody see that? Jake is my Dalmatian gecko, you can see. You may have seen him in a couple other videos. He's been in a couple of other videos before. He's got both red and dark spots on him. He's kind of in a color phase right now that doesn't really show them off, but he's a cute little gecko. He's calmed down quite a bit from when we first got him. He doesn't jump into space all the time anymore, so that's good. You still have praying mantis? Yeah, I do. And I'll show you. It's pretty cool. It's actually right back in this enclosure right here. Here, that enclosure is where it is. So maybe I'll get it out in a minute after Jake has a chance. I'm trying to get him in focus. It's not working all that well. That's not too bad right there. There you go. And I wish, okay, Jake, you can give a cyber hug to Tenya Lido, okay? Let's see if you can do that. Cyber hug? There you go. I think that was a crested gecko cyber hug. Ant Scotland says, I've recently been culturing leafcutter ants, and Aquarimax colony leafcutters are awesome. I got permits to keep 2 colonies for display. Cool. Yeah. That would be super cool. I've always thought leafcutter ants were pretty fascinating. I would love to see that as a display. Look in there and watch them like carrying the little leaf bits that they are gnawing off and everything. That is so cool. Video Maniac, how are the dart frogs? Doing well. The adult trio are, fine, doing really well, and the babies are all doing well. I've got the last tadpole now has a tail that's about 1 centimeter long, and is about to finish transforming. Probably in the next week it'll be done. Jay's Crazy Obsession says, which crestie is that? This is Jake. He is the male that's not related to any of the other cresties we have. This male I got, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and he was kind of wild at the time. He's calmed down quite a bit, but he still doesn't like crickets that much. He still just prefers this crested gecko diet. Primetime Gecko, do you plan on getting any new reptile anytime soon? To be honest, probably not. This year, my big focus is probably improving habitats and enclosures and setups for everybody as much as I can. Not that I'll never get new reptiles. I will. I want to. But I don't have any immediate plans to do that. But if I do, if I had to say, if I could just choose and not worry about it right now, I'd probably get a pair of red-sided garter snakes. I would want to try breeding them. That would be cool. Lieutenant Commander Data. Billy Leister says, hello, welcome. Tenulita says, and a virtual hug send if you feel like it, you can just call me Someone or Lenore. And what is your opinion on ball pythons as starter pets? Okay, yeah. Yep, sometimes it's easier to go with the original names, isn't it? It can be easier. Okay, what is my opinion on ball pythons as starter pets? Well, I have worked with ball pythons not as pets, but when I was an interpretive naturalist, I worked with the ball python in that collection, and I really enjoyed working with her. It was a female, and was really kind of a calm, laid-back snake. I enjoyed that. I would say, from what I know, I have no experience with one as a pet, though I do have handling experience. I would say that ball pythons are pretty good starter snakes, but not the best, because they tend to have the issues with hunger strikes, humidity and things like that can be a little bit more difficult, and temperature, than with some other snakes. So I'd say corn snake is probably a safer bet if you're going to start in on snakes. Not the only snake you could start with. Not that you couldn't start on ball pythons, but probably not the A1 best from what I know. But I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of direct experience with that. But I love having a corn snake as a first snake. It works really well for us. Rented Guy says, do you have any Pallid Areums or plan to build one? I think one with some species of aquatic newts would be amazing. That would be cool. I have done Pallid Areums in the past. I probably will again. Years and years ago, we're talking like, what, 16, 17 years ago, I built my first, what I would consider successful, long-term successful Pallid Areum. Before that, I had built others too, but I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, because that was, maybe 20, 25 years ago when I did those. And so this one that I built about 17 years ago was really nice, actually. I liked it a lot. It had, on one side, it had anoles, and a green tree frog. Not that I advocate keeping those together, but that's what I was doing at the time. And then I got, I had, let's see, platies, breeding population of platies on the other side, in the water side. And then I had mostly pothos was the plant that was growing in there, and it was growing like crazy. And it was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. The anoles were constantly laying eggs. At least one of them hatched. And I had it basically set up so the water would be pulled from the water area, and then it was brought over with tubing to the land area, which was built on a base of gravel, and just kind of percolate through that gravel. And then there was pothos and other plants growing all through everything, and it seems to work. And the Pokesaurus says, sorry if this seems out of the blue, but has your son shown you the Ancaligonosaurus? I think he has. It's been a while, but I think he did show me that. And Jay's crazy obsession. Sorry if you've already answered. Oh, that's fine, no problem. And Aunt Scotland says, if you live in Arizona, there are loads of leafcutter species to collect in mating flights. So some of the setups are so cool. Wow. That's cool. I live pretty close to Arizona, so sometime I ought to go down there. I want to do that. And Veranda Guy says, what is an interpretive naturalist? Well, basically, someone who works in a zoo or an environment like a zoo, where the main purpose of the position is to interact with people from a standpoint of informing them about the animals, and also, how would you say, facilitating encounters with them. So I did a lot of things as an interpretive naturalist. I did tours with various animals. One of my favorite things to do was the night tours, where we'd have zoo visitors would take, they'd have a special package, I guess, that they would purchase where they could come at night, and when the zoo was mostly closed, and only people who had paid for this particular activity could come. And we would do night tours with flashlights, and they'd get to see a lot of the nocturnal animals. We'd have red flashlights so it didn't disturb the animals, and we'd check on a lot of the nocturnal creatures and talk about those. We also we'd give presentations in an amphitheater, where one of the main purposes was to facilitate encounters with different animals. We had an education collection that we'd use, and I would take out the animals, and people would get to come up and touch them and ask questions about them and things like that after we did a presentation. I was also an outreach, I guess, outreach coordinator, whatever you want to call that. So I would go and visit schools and things like that with live animals from the zoo collection. Got to drive the zoo vehicles and that kind of thing. So those were some of the things I got to do, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And I got to learn a lot about various creatures. And the educational collection was full of really interesting reptiles, amphibians, inverts, mammals, birds that I got to interact with. Pokesaurus says, I once had a ball python. One time it had some digestion issues. Wow, that's crazy. Did it get over that pretty quickly? I would hope so. That would be disturbing. Primetime Gecko says, do you know much about knob-tailed gecko? I have read about them. I don't have any personal experience with them, but I've read about them. I think they're bizarrely fascinating, but yeah. And Tenulita says, corn snakes are so small. I'll look into it though. Thank you. And do you have any thoughts on boas? Well, corn snakes, it's actually kind of surprising. A lot of people think of them as small snakes, but they can get over 5 feet long. I mean, they get pretty big. They get pretty hefty. You start out with a little tiny hatchling, then yeah, they're pretty small, but they get surprisingly large. A 5+ foot snake isn't too small, so it might be worth a thought. And they're beautiful. They have some beautiful morphs. Any thoughts on boas? Once again, I've worked with boas in the same capacity as an interpretive naturalist, and they're very fun to handle. They're much like ball pythons, but a little bit more active maybe, and I enjoyed handling them. But you're going to have to get some pretty big foods for them. I mean, it depends on what kind of boa you're talking about. If you're talking about, like, common boa constrictor, boa imperator kind of thing, then they're pretty big. They're gonna have fairly big food items you're dealing with. And a ball python, is a little smaller than that, and so food items are maybe easier to handle. And Jay's crazy obsessions. I have a ball python as a first. I'd personally suggest a ribbon snake, way easier to care for. Oh yeah, much, much smaller than a ball python. Much smaller. And yeah, I've never kept a ribbon snake. I have kept garter snakes, but not a ribbon snake. And they're cool. I like ribbon snakes. They're pretty. They're a lot like garter snakes, very closely related. Brooklyn Jungle says, I still have my pal with the fan system made the same time as you were doing yours. Still runs good. Cool. So what creatures are you keeping in your Pallid Areum then? The Video Maniac says, do you want to get a pet bird? We have some birds. We've got a budgie, which I love. I've had various pet birds throughout my life, and I love birds. We have a budgie that talks, and then we also have 10 chickens in the backyard. So I guess you could say we have 11 pet birds if you count the chickens in the backyard, and we do. They all have names. Jay's crazy obsession. Go to Texas on the 27th. First plane ride, but see you later, Utah. Cool! I love Texas! I've spent, I used to spend weeks in the summer in Texas. It's where my grandmother lived, and on this big ranch. And I got to see all kinds of fun creatures there, from box turtles that would come steal the cat food on her patio to different kinds of mantises. They had fire ants all over the place. There were toads. There were all kinds of things. It was beautiful. The rented guy. Yeah, it was a really fun job. Too bad it didn't pay enough, but it was fun. I loved it. Ant Scotland says, I love geckos, but I think bearded dragons have such a sweet personality, as do geckos. Some lizards just stand out from others. True. True, and I love beardies too. I've interacted with beardies in various capacities, including babysitting them, and I've enjoyed that. I think they're really fun. The Pokesaurus says it survived but passed away a few years later. That's too sad. Elaine Smith says, love the gecko. Since you have insects at work, do you work with critters like teaching? Well, sometimes I do. I do informative presentations on, I tend to do them on insects because they're easier to transport in large quantities, and because of there can be certain legalities on university campuses with different kinds of animals, different standards for what you can do with different things, and so I tend to do inverts. I do presentations on arthropods, a lot of various types, and I really enjoy it. I've done presentations on various creatures, but that tends to be the one that I do a lot. And I work with, there's a youth program at our university, as there are many universities where they have like summer youth camps and fall break camps and things like that, and I'll work with that. It's fun. And let's see. Brooklyn Jungle says, what's a good cleaning crew for chameleon setup? Well, I would say I would go with isopods that are small enough for them not to be interested in. So depending on which species of chameleon you get, maybe something like dwarf whites. And then if you want to go a little bigger, you could do some of the powder blues. And then also springtails. I would include both. With larger animals, it's always better to include both. And the dwarf whites are good as long as you have enough humidity. If it's going to be a little drier, maybe go with the powder blues. And I know that chameleons tend to like a lot of air circulation. That doesn't necessarily mean the humidity won't be sufficient, but it can influence that. So depending on the kind of humidity you have ambientally, maybe go with powder blues. And Karen Sue Nader, do you have any aquariums? I do. I have several, in fact. We've got an axolotl in one. We've got my my blue star endlers. You can check out my video about blue star endlers if you like. I have a couple showing those guys. I've got my shell-dwelling cichlids, and they're a lot of fun. I've got a 29-gallon tank with shell-dwelling cichlids in it. I've got some brackish water aquariums with Hawaiian cave shrimp, and my daughter, I just helped my daughter set up a small aquarium with African dwarf frog and some guppies and a ghost shrimp. So yeah, we've got several, and I don't think I said all of them. We've also got one with goldfish in the living room, so whenever anybody asks me how many aquariums I have, I always get confused because I'm not sure. But we do have several, yeah. And a lot of them are in the videos. If you check out the 15,000 subscriber video, you'll see a lot of the aquariums in there. Veranid guy said, my son got a bearded dragon for Christmas for his grandpa. 6-month-old female he named Rocky. It's kind of a nice change of pace from the monitor lizards. Yeah, I bet their personalities are quite a bit more relaxed. And Elaine says, tell Kelly and your children hello from Tucson, Arizona. Awesome, I will. That's a place I want to visit someday, I'll tell you that. I almost made it down to Arizona this summer, but not quite. But I got close. I was in the southwestern corner of Utah, so I was really close. Mark Osborne's in the house. Hi, welcome, Mark. Dianthus Keep said, aside from goldfish, what are your favorite cold water fish? Well, in favorite, let's see. Okay, I'm going to name two that maybe don't quite qualify as cold water, but at least cool water fish. And I would say, okay, I'm getting lost here. Sorry, trying to catch up with everything. Okay, I love white cloud mountain minnows, which are more cool water fish, but I love them. And dojo loaches. I love those too. And another cool water fish that I would love to get into is the paradise fish, the Macropodus opercularis. So those are some really cool ones that I like a lot. Veranid guy, good information about the Kenyan sand boas and rosy boas. They're small, they're manageable, but they're boas. And they're, I've heard that Kenyan sand boas are really one of the easier snakes to keep. A pretty good way to go, and they stay small, so. Oh, and as some egg says, not very active in the daytime, good point. Fire ant, little word that means a child whose parents aren't married. Okay, well, I appreciate the care with your language. That is a good thing. I always appreciate that. And yes, fire ants. When I was down in Texas, I was stung so many times in the first couple of days when I was figuring out how to avoid them. And after that, I realized that I could avoid that most of the time, but it was not fun getting the little welts all over my legs that they left. And almost instantly, you step in a fire ant nest and they're all the way up your leg before you even know what's going on. And how long are we streaming for? Another 5-ish minutes, maybe, right about there. Brenda Miller says, get some African giant millipedes. They're so much fun and active. If you woke up a billionaire, you could keep any animal, what species would it be and how would you keep it? I love giant African millipedes. I have had the Mardonius Pyrillus acuticonis, which is a giant African millipede. It's not the largest species, but it is a big species. And I've kept that. But I have not kept the largest species, the Archaeostreptus gigas, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have not kept that species, but I would like to. If I woke up a billionaire to keep any animal, what species would it be and how would you keep it? Oh, there's so many. Do I have to choose one? I don't even know what I would do. Let's see. I would set up a huge aquarium, I'll tell you that, for one thing. A really, really big aquarium. I would probably make it, this is kind of what I'm thinking, it would actually be a Pallid Areum, a really, really big one. And it would have, like, it would be an Amazon biotope kind of thing. So it would have South American Amazon blackwater fish in the water. And then it would have, like, branches and things like that, and put some native reptiles, amphibians, birds, all that kind of stuff. So there you go. Hopefully that helped. Sorry, I'm probably missing some of these. I know I'm going to miss some, but. And most snakes aren't insanely active. Even diurnal species tend to be more crepuscular. That's a good point. Video Maniac, how's the tank with beetles and belvedants? Doing really well. Since I set it up, I had 10 beetles initially. My male desert beetle, not a blue death feigner or a black death feigner. It was one of the desert clown beetles that I collected here in my state. The male unfortunately passed away, but it's the only one that has died. But the velvetants are going strong, all the other beetles are going strong. In fact, I've noted some mating activity recently, so that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to kind of scroll down to the end. I'll probably miss some. Veranid guy says, do you have any tips to be successful with brackish water aquariums? The only ones I've really done are the Hawaiian cave shrimp, and they're super easy. So that one is kind of, don't do very much at all, sort of a hands-off approach to those tank, and they work really well. But as far as other brackish water aquariums, I don't have a lot of experience, but my shrimp, I've been keeping the shrimp since 2004, I think, and they've been doing really well with very, very little care, so yeah. Yeah. Okay, yes, Pokesaurus. My wife's name is Kelly, and thank you for the best wishes. Creamy Memes. How many pets do you have? Well, the best way I can answer that is for just to tell you to watch my 15,000 subscriber video I made about a month and a half ago, and you will get a tour. You get a room tour and get to see our pets. So, let's see. And yeah. Oh yes. Show us your praying mantis. Okay. I've got to go in just a second here, but there's the mantis right there. A Hierodulus species. Not sure if it's Membranacea or some other species. I think it's Hierodula membranacea. And there it is. Doing pretty well. Not the most intense feeder that I've ever seen. It usually eats part of a cricket and then drops it, but it eats enough of the cricket that it seems to be okay. So there you go. That's, oh, don't want to let that fall. Have you ever bred reptiles? Yeah. We've accidentally bred crested geckos in the sense that crested geckos have produced babies for us even without mating, so parthenogenic reproduction. And I regularly produce mourning geckos. Those are really the only reptiles that I've bred so far. I haven't done a ton of breeding with reptiles, but I'm also branching into amphibians. I've recently bred my dart frogs. For a long time I specialized in breeding fish, and so I've bred, you know, quite a number of species of fish. But yeah, I would like to breed some more reptiles in the future. Creamy Meme says, how many pets have you owned in your life? I don't even know. That is a great question, but hundreds upon hundreds, I would say. Some of them are very tiny things like isopods, and right now I'm sure I have, you know, probably 500 isopods, so it's hard to say. And that guy says you should make a bioactive corn snake setup. Definitely, it's in the works. I've got a 40-gallon breeder over here that's empty, and it's going to be a bioactive snake setup. Hopefully we're going to put the corn snake in there eventually. He's really little right now, so we haven't gotten there yet, but yeah, we're going to go that way. And Brooklyn Jungle says, sorry folks, I'm opening back up here. Says, are you rehoming, selling the mornings? I do sell the morning geckos. I have about 6 juveniles that are for sale. I don't ship a lot in December and January because of, you know, the extreme cold. But other than that, yeah, I totally do. And the baby crested gecko is right back over here. I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. Just a second. I'm just going to get the baby cresty out if I can. You know, it's running away from me. Ooh. Here, just a second, folks. Okay. Here is the baby cresty right there. It's not very old at all. We found it at the end of October. So, and we're not sure how long it had been hatched since then, but not very long, obviously, because it was tiny. It's put on some size since then. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think somebody is coming over right now and to buy a bug. So I have got to go. And I guess it's about time anyway. So thanks for joining in, everybody. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for your support. And